What did you think of, or I don't know if you saw it, you probably did, there were a bunch of British news and European Union newspapers that reported in the last few days, we covered it yesterday, I'm going to get back into it the next hour because I didn't spend enough time on it, where they go, oh yeah, there are microphones everywhere in the street lamps hidden, and we are listening to you. Well, I remember 11 years ago them putting the microphones in Austin and saying that they were gunshot detectors, but they've never used them for that. And then I went in search engine. I remember it was like Dogpile at the time in '99. Google wasn't even around. I went into an Alta Vista or whatever search, and there was the company bragging that it's we can listen to people at 200 yards away and then send it through the software for keywords. And here are those very same companies. But the difference is now the government and the media are saying, okay, we are listening to you and analyzing your keywords. I mean, that is right out of 1984, where he's hiding in the woods having sex with his girlfriend and Big Brother's got the woods mic'd. I mean, this is incredible.
Well, you know, I remember it wasn't that long ago when people who were saying, you know, they can listen to you over your cell phone. That's the reason it's got a speakerphone mode, is so that they can justify having a microphone that can hear the entire room. And people were saying that's nonsense. Now you've got the FBI admitting that, yeah, that's built into the cell phone system. They can turn on the microphone in your cell phone. You're carrying your own tracking and listening.
Even when it's off. Even when it's off. And then people have to remove the battery. You can't remove it with iPhones.
That's exactly true. If you really want security, you have to walk away from your phone, or you have to put it in a box that blocks all radio signals.
By the way, we do have a sponsor that has those LED shielding, and that's the way to go, because if you got your cell phone by electrical equipment, every minute or two you hear a beep through your speaker system, and we went and looked it up. That is the GPS system pinging it to check your location.
So they are able to basically listen to you, possibly even watch you through the cameras. It's set up to be that way. The government is obviously terrified of the American people. They're trying to figure out some way they can squeeze the last few pennies out of our pockets without triggering a revolution. Frankly, my readers and I are somewhat amazed that it hasn't started yet.
But my concern is, and I want to hold you over for one more segment to take calls, my concern is that they want a revolution. They want it to be violent because we're winning it with the hearts and minds. And if enough people wake up and realize just how illegitimate this system is, it'll fall on its own.
That's my thought about this as well, that the U.S. is going to go the way of the USSR. And more and more people are beginning to write and contemplate that the U.S. is headed for a Soviet-style breakup. And I do think it's inevitable at this point.
Mike Rivero is our guest. We'll do one more segment. I'm going to get to everybody coming up here, but we're going to go quickly to your calls. Al, Mike, Tim, Joe, John, and others who are patiently listening. This is such important information. We are at a historical crossroads. I mean, the destiny of humanity, to a great extent, is being decided right now. Al in Delaware, what's on your mind today, Al?
Hey, how you doing, Alex?
Good, sir.
I've been trying to get to you for a couple weeks. Got a couple of questions for you. One, do you feel as though Obama has been cultivated for this for the last 25 years?
Oh, there's no doubt, absolutely. His entire family was involved in foundations that are even above U.S. intelligence. And there's no doubt he's got intelligence ties. He's been groomed for this. They tried to sell him as a messianic leader, but it didn't work. But that's fine. They're just as happy to destroy him and give us another messianic leader. Mike Rivero, what's your take on that?
Yeah, absolutely. With the rare exception of people like Ron Paul, pretty much everybody offered to us on the voting menu every election is cultivated, trained, groomed, and manufactured from the ground up. There are very few real genuine candidates, like I said, Ron Paul being the exception.
Yeah, they've been compromised so many times. I mean, this guy came from the Chicago machine. He was publicly incubated in the heart of the most hardcore mafia organization there, with communist bombers and slum lords and mafia dons. I mean, just he is hardcore mafia.
And he apparently holds the record for largest political campaign contributions from British Petroleum. And basically, he's absolutely not a president of the United States of America. He has turned his back on the American people, sending money all over the world. And we've got homelessness here. He's not doing any of the things that would be necessary to turn this economy around. It's almost like they want the U.S. to collapse because then they can pick up the pieces and put it in their pocket.
And he's expanding wars.
Yes.
Caller, you had one other point you wanted to make?
Do you guys believe that we are in crisis mode before these midterm elections come? And do you think this man will have the audacity to actually suspend the elections and possibly use the southern states in the Gulf as we know they're turning it into a tar pit. Come on. And do you believe that with the Queen coming here, was she signing documents? We're buddy-buddy with China. We're buddy-buddy with Russia. Is this the tipping point, and should we start preparing for crisis mode in America before the elections?
Well, I'm going to answer that in more detail in the next segment because I'm actually getting into that. But you should always prepare for crises because what government has shown us is it can't and it won't protect us. We've got to protect ourselves. But yes, I see this confluence, all these different factors coming together where I literally catch my breath sometimes now and am just shocked to my core that I can intellectually see it, but also in my gut, in my spirit, I can feel the disturbance. To use a Star Wars line, you know, the last time I felt a disturbance in the Force was in the presence of my old master. Let's get a comment from Mike Rivero on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think more and more people are just realizing on a gut level, even if they can't analyze it, even if they can't intellectualize it, in their gut they know something is really changing about this country and how it's run and how it's organized. And again, I think it's because of shows like yours, Alex, and websites like both of ours that we've panicked the New World Orderists into this last desperate push to try and achieve their agenda, because I think left to themselves, they would have preferred a more leisurely transition that didn't call as much attention to themselves. But I think they realize that if they're not able to make it happen now, that the whole thing is going to fall flat on their face.
And these guys are confident. They're smart. They work hard. They've studied tyranny. They admit they've studied it. And they're not accustomed to losing, and they're very bold. And so everything we do now, gathering our forces, illuminating these enemies, exposing them as the tyrants, not their Obama puppet or their Republican puppets, that is key, because if people think the battle's joined right now, they haven't seen anything yet. This is only going to get crazier from here on out, and it is every person you reach out to now is going to be a game changer, is going to be a deciding element in this unfolding situation. Al, I appreciate your call. And we'll come back and take more calls. We're going to let Mike go now. But, Mike, I appreciate you joining us. But do you concur with me, or do you agree, disagree that, well, I mean, you said it. You can feel it in your gut.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in a period of tremendous change. And what you said before, the best thing that any of us can do is speak out publicly, because then you give courage to other people to speak out publicly. And the illusion that those of us who know there's a problem is a minority, that gets destroyed. And America stands up and says, yeah, something's gone really, really wrong with this country.
Yeah, Ron Paul said it over and over again from studying history. I concur that the danger point is when they go into their period of globalist takeover, their artificial change. The danger point for us is not being prepositioned with an alternative to defeat them and letting them use the crisis to bring in another level of tyranny. So it's a danger point for them and us. We've got to be in there now. History is in a flux vortex, basically, right now. Mike, great hearing from you. Thanks for joining us.